What's up, everybody? It's Ego. Nintendo just released the Nintendo Switch OLED, and there are a lot of angry people online as it's not the Nintendo Switch Pro that everybody was necessarily expecting or wanting. There's no GPU upgrades, no RAM upgrades, and I'm personally not mad about this as they've added a lot of features to the Switch for only $50 more that are really enticing, and if you're somebody who doesn't already own a Switch, I think this is the Switch to get. Now, if you already own a Nintendo Switch like I do, the upgrade may be less of a sell, but it's still very cool nonetheless. Let's talk about it. So, first thing right off the bat is its name, OLED. So this screen is now 7 inches, it's been expanded, so the bezels that are here are going to be a little bit shaved down, just be thinner and smaller overall. And the kickstand, the new kickstand is probably the greatest upgrade out of all of these, because I hate this horrible kickstand. It's super flimsy, it never holds up, nobody ever ends up using it because it just always falls over. And so with the new kickstand, they have something that covers the entire back of the Switch. I think this is the way it should have been when they originally released the Switch, but they didn't for whatever reason. Back to that screen, because I have a little more to say about that. I play my Switch quite frequently on the go, and I'm sometimes in brighter environments if I'm near a window or I'm outside. And so an OLED panel that's going to be a lot brighter, a lot more color accurate, it's going to be much more pleasant to be playing on in certain scenarios, especially portably. And that's where most of these upgrades are on this Nintendo Switch OLED model, is the portable aspects. The newer screen, the better kickstand, the enhanced audio? I thought that was kind of a weird one. They talked about the enhanced audio. I never use the onboard speakers on my Switch personally, so I'll have to try that out and see and do some sound tests as a musician and let y'all know if those are better. I always use headphones though personally, so I don't know what that enhanced audio is necessarily going to mean. Another thing about that screen that I'm curious about is they didn't clarify whether or not the screen was a newer resolution, if it's 1080p or if it's going to be just 720. Now, my full expectation, because they didn't clarify this, is it's probably going to be 720p, but I'd love to see a 1080p screen, but I don't think that's likely as it's just going to pull too much juice out of the Switch, and with the OLED screen on there, it's already pulling a little bit more power, and so you may see some more power loss there. Now, I love the look of this Switch. The white Joy-Cons, the white dock, I think it looks really clean and really cool. And the new dock has a built-in LAN port, which is pretty nice. Now, if you were to buy the regular Switch, it's only like $10 to, hook a USB up and do the LAN port yourself. It's not a big deal. But having this baked into the dock is something that should have been there originally on the Switch, and so this is a nice addition as they've been listening to people and reacting. Now, this upgraded Switch version also has 64 gigs of internal storage. This is really nice as I've actually been filling up my storage just with save data, not even games. However, if you're somebody who's looking to build more of a digital library or take advantage of Nintendo eShop sales, I highly suggest yourself to get a micro SD card with more storage, as you're going to run out of storage very quickly if you're consistently buying games, and you can find these on Amazon pretty cheaply for the most part. So the Nintendo Switch OLED is very much the same console. If I take Joy-Cons off, the Joy-Cons on the new console are exactly the same. So there's nothing new about the Joy-Cons, they're the same Joy-Cons. Older Joy-Cons will still work on the new console, and I'm willing to bet that the regular version of the Switch is going to fit into the OLED dock, and the OLED is going to work in the regular Switch docks, because there's nothing there that from a hardware standpoint inside of the Switch that's different between the CPU, the GPU, and the RAM. The primary difference in this new Switch is going to be that screen. And I'm really excited to see that screen. I'll pick it up on this channel, so if you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe, and I'll do an unboxing for you guys. And we'll take a look at the difference in screens, brightness. We'll do that audio test as well, and kind of see how those things work. Well, check that kickstand, because while it is wider, which is going to make it much more stable, if it's still the same tiny distance of flimsy plastic, I'm sure it's going to be an improvement, but these hinges are going to be better. Just need to be better, or it may not be quite as solid as people want. So I'm interested to see and how that'll actually come out in the final product. Now, I understand why a lot of people are mad. A lot of people were expecting a console that was much more powerful than the console we already have. But I still believe the Switch is somewhat in the middle of its life cycle, as the Switch came out, I believe, March of 2017. So the Nintendo Switch came out March of 2017, so it's only been out about 4 years now, which is still in the middle of a life cycle for consoles. Most consoles go for about 7 years. So to me, the way this looks is kind of more similar to the 3DS, new 3DS kind of business. So it's an upgraded version of the model. So it's an upgraded version of the console that's still very much the same, but has a bunch of quality features that are still worth getting if you haven't already picked up the console. And if you do own the console like I do, and you've maybe just put a lot of hours into it, and it's kind of on its last legs like mine, it may be a worthwhile pickup. However, if you're somebody who always plays with your Switch docked, don't get this Switch. It's not for you. Most of these upgrades are for portable mode, so if you're not traveling a lot and playing in portable mode, I wouldn't recommend the Switch. If you're traveling all the time and you see yourself playing mostly handheld, I think this would be the Switch to get. Now, when I was talking about it being halfway through its life cycle, I do think we are going to see some kind of upgraded console from Nintendo at some point that's going to be maybe similar to the Switch, but much, much more powerful, or something that's just completely different. But I think that's several years down the line and nowhere near our time. But I'm very excited about this Switch. I'll make sure to pick it up. It's very interesting. A lot of these things I think should have been on the original Switch, and for whatever reason they just weren't. Maybe marketing, money, who knows why. But it's still very exciting. I'm definitely going to pick it up and check it out. And so if you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe to that. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.